Hello, my name is Arthur Davidson. I am the training manager for WTMC. Welcome to today's lesson. In Lesson 4, we will discuss job planning and scheduling. At the conclusion of this lesson, you will be able to describe the mechanics of job planning, identify the elements of a comprehensive job plan, state what level of detail is needed to successfully execute work, describe the how and why of estimating work at the activity level, identify the different types of resources used when developing a job plan, state the use of a resource library, determine proper crew size and task duration, develop a bill of material, describe some helpful hints in job estimating skills and fundamentals, describe the difference between planning and scheduling, and describe the PERT planning technique and when to use it. Welcome to the Worldwide Turnaround Management Company Fundamentals of Turnaround Management, Lesson 4, Job Planning and Scheduling. During this lesson, we will learn to describe the mechanics of job planning, identify the elements of a comprehensive job plan, state what level of detail is needed to successfully execute work, describe the how and why of estimating work at the task level, identify the different types of resources used when developing a job plan. We will be able to state the use of a resource library, determine proper crew size and task duration, develop a bill of material, describe some helpful hints in job estimating skills and fundamentals, describe the difference between planning and scheduling, and describe the PERT planning technique and when to use it. Let's discuss the basic mechanics of job planning. Job planning is a series of steps that explain the scope of work at a detailed and manageable level. Job planning defines the elements of manpower, machinery, and materials for each particular job. In our job planning, we must develop a job scope for each work list item, develop a job package for each work list item, develop a scope of work which is broken into smaller steps. We define the task details, we develop the logical sequence, and we develop a comprehensive job plan. Once the job scope is understood and the supporting documents and the subject matter expert input are secured, the turnaround planner must assemble this information into a logical sequence of events, which is the comprehensive job plan. The job plan identifies specific tasks to be done, the resources needed, the sequence of the work. The job will include labor resource, equipment resource, material resource, labor resource, and inspection resource. We break the job into smaller bite-sized pieces to make it easier to understand, easier to manage, and easier to validate. For instance, blinding the exchanger. We'll need 2 boilermakers and 2 pipe fitters. Pulling the head, we will add resources. A job plan is a logical process where the turnaround planner defines the scope of work and the resources needed to complete the task. Remember from Lesson 2 that a turnaround planner cannot know everything about each job, but must seek input and coordination between those who do know. Review meetings, site visits, and discussions with operations, maintenance, inspections, and craft subject matter experts fill in the missing information. It is then up to the turnaround planner to put the pieces together into an actionable job plan. Now we will discuss defining resources. Let's begin with the discussion of job planning with information on defining these resources. A resource is an element that is used in the process of performing work. Resources can be people, material, equipment, or tools. Resource types. There are three main types of resources. There is labor, which could be field and support crafts, supervision, or owner and contractor. The second type are equipment and tools. Those can be manned and unmanned. They can be rentals, and these are tools and machines. Material resources may be valves and piping, vessels and fixed equipment, insulation, instrumentation and controls, etc. Prior to developing the job plan, the turnaround team or planning department should create a common resource library for their site. Each turnaround has a defined resource library. It represents all resources. It is defined within the job planning and scheduling, whether you're using Microsoft Project, Primavera, or other software. It is assigned to all activities requiring resources. All manpower, machinery, and material elements are assigned codes which are used in the planning and scheduling tools. Prior to developing the job plan, the turnaround team or planning department should create a common resource library for their site. This is an example of a resource library. You will find three tables, one labeled manpower, one labeled machinery, and one labeled materials. Take a few moments and review the resources listed under each table. Resource categories. Resources are divided into major categories. There are direct resources, which can refer to mechanical work, rotating equipment work, insulation and painting, or civil work. Indirect resources may include things such as scaffolding, hydroblasting and cleaning, supervision and support. The division of resources varies and is defined by the owner's turnaround work process and accounting methods. This division is philosophical in nature and can be defined by the owner's work processes from site to site. Direct versus indirect. The basis for a direct-indirect split is whether the activity performed adds to or modifies the physical asset in the unit. If the resource is doing work on the physical asset in the unit, that is defined as a direct resource. All other resources are considered indirect. Direct labor are labor and materials involved in doing physical work on the unit. Indirect labor involves equipment and materials which are utilized in support of the direct work. Take a few moments to examine the table. As you examine these three columns in the table, you will note various examples of direct resources. Indirect resources. In the table below, you have examples of indirect resources. In column 1, there are startup and post activities, which are indirect. There are pre-turnaround, shutdown, and temporary facilities, also indirect resources. In the third column, there are support activities. In the fourth column, there are supervision and administration resources. And in the last column, there are rental equipment resources. All of these are examples of indirect resources. Resource coding. Each resource is typically abbreviated or represented by an acronym. Example, BMKR equals Boilermaker, ELEC equals Electrician. Equipment resources are also coded. An example of a 5-ton hydraulic crane, it would be EQ5T. These are examples of resource craft codes. Take a few moments and review the table below and consider how your site may use resource coding. Each facility has a predefined set of acronyms for all resources used on turnaround projects. The code may be different for different facilities. To continue your training, please click the button below.